Right, so here's my latest Mini, Commodore 64 Mini. So C64 Mini, C64 Mini. Someone else has got a license for Commodore. So I now have one of these. And previously I showed this, the really clicky Speedlink Competition Pro. So I thought it'd be good to do a little comparison between the two, as this is designed to look very similar to the RetroGames one, but this is loaded with really loud clicky micro switches. So I thought it'd be good to see how it compares with the joystick. So, the joystick, the one that comes with the 64. So we've got 4 buttons on the back. That one is the home button, I guess, or the back button. I think there's technically something like 8 different buttons. I think some of these might be duplicated. Left and right on there, the main buttons, I think they do the same thing. But yeah, it just looks like a Competition Pro. Although to be fair, it reminds me more of the TV game joystick I've got, because that had pretty much the same button layout. But what I would say about this thing, it doesn't really feel very substantial at all. It doesn't feel like there's a lot in there. It does feel quite flimsy. I mean, it doesn't click at all. You can see, you can pretty much play that without getting an ASBO, without your neighbours hammering on your door saying, "What the hell are you doing this time of night?" No, that's all. The buttons are fairly silent. That's probably because there's not much going on inside it. So let's compare that to Mr. Clicky. Mr. Clicky. So this one is the Speedlink one, which sounds a bit like this. So yeah, this one's a bit noisier, but this one does feel like it's better made. It feels more substantial. It doesn't weigh much, but it does feel like there's a bit more to it. And to me, it actually looks a bit tidier. It looks more like the Competition Pro. You've got like the red ring around the buttons. The other one, for me, doesn't really look as nice. The actual joystick doesn't look as nice to me. I mean, the main buttons, you haven't got the red border. They just look like they're sticking up then. I mean, they're pretty much the same size. Let's get rid of that. They're pretty much the same size. Except the Speedlink doesn't have the buttons on the back. So that is a bit of an issue in certain games. Right, so let's start with the RetroGames one, and we'll plug this in. One thing that irritates me about this Commodore 64 is all of the ports on this are upside down, all of them. So it's a real it's annoying when you've got to connect anything. The USB ports are upside down, the HDMI port's upside down, and so is the dinky little USB port. Right, so this is a joystick. In the corner here we've got, it's telling us what buttons we can push to shut the music up, which is that one. And then if we want to sort these differently, I can push the left button and it changes the sorting order. Do you hear an annoying clicking? That's because there isn't one. I'm going to turn the volume down on the music. It's a lot quieter. So you select things with one of the main buttons, and then your back button is that one. And this is all designed to work together. This is what came with it. So let's find something Bodash. Because it doesn't click like the microswitch Speedlink does, you're not always sure if it's registered the direction you've pushed, because it is quite soft. But you can move around. You see, I'm not disturbing anyone playing this, apart from the fact I'm talking all over it. But yeah, I'm not disturbing anyone. It works absolutely fine. And then I can go back by pushing the right button there. I can either do save states, virtual keyboard, exit game. Right, so back to there. So now we will try the other joystick, the Speedlink. Same thing. So here we are. We're back to the clicky. But it works. One thing I would say though is I believe the Amiga and Spectrum, we'll have to test it to find out, but I'm pretty sure when you put a different joystick in and start moving it, all these buttons update to what it thinks the joystick is. I think this one probably works almost like an Xbox, where you've got X, Y, XZ, whatever they are. I think if I plugged this into the Spectrum or the Amiga, it would probably think it was an Xbox and would give me appropriate symbols there. So if you're using the Speedlink one on Commodore 64, you kind of got to remember what button represents what, because one of these is a back button. I think it's like that one. So I can select that, but if I want to come out of that, I need to push a back button. Obviously there's no back button there, so it's not that one. So it's that one. That's our back button. So that's one of those 4 buttons you get on the back of the other one, of the Commodore 64, the C64 one. So, can I? Oh, that stops the music. Yeah. See, the second fire button on this acts as the sort button. So the buttons are kind of covered, like you get on the 64 one, kind of. Right, let's find Bodash. So this is the difference now. I would say that this stick requires more effort to actually pull. I guess you've got the micro switches, which gives you more resistance, but it is more hard work, this one. It does feel more precise though. It feels more solid, and it feels like you're gonna go the way you're dragging it. I think if this breaks in a bit and it quietens down, it will be a decent joystick. Probably better than the one that comes with it, with the 64. It's just, you've got to deal with this part for the moment. And it feels like you're being a bit slower with this one because you've really got to push it in the way you want to go. I would imagine this joystick would be quite good for a power droid. So let's give that a try. One thing I would say about this 64 Mini, I don't think it's the fastest. Well, we know it's not fast, it's a system on the chip, but it doesn't seem to run that fast in general. I think it could have done with something that sped the emulation up a little bit. I mean, this one here, it doesn't scroll very well, and some of the games take a little while to load. Oh. It's quite easy to catch that button. Right, let's see if we can do a stay with that one. See, it feels fairly precise doing that with this one. Right, let's swap joysticks and see how this works. Right, we're back on the 64 joystick. See, it's definitely quieter. We're definitely nice and quiet on this. It doesn't feel as precise, this one. It doesn't feel like you're definitely going the way you think you're going. Let's try a transfer. On this, you do sometimes need to be pretty quick, and you need to go exactly where you want to go fast. That's not too bad, actually. It's not too bad. This one was probably easier one-handed, actually. The Speedlink one does need a lot more effort, but with two hands you can be quite precise on this. Right, where this joystick, the 64 joystick, does have the advantage with these buttons and knowing what they are, is for something like school days. I mean, I don't know why this is on this collection. I mean, that is blatantly a Spectrum game. It's blatantly a Spectrum game. There's a few on there like that. It's like, why have they put Spectrum games on there? Right, okay, so any key to pay, any key. Right, this is where we have to use the virtual keyboard. So on this one, it's easy because I know I've got to push that and go to the virtual keyboard, and now I've got to say no because that would be a nightmare on here. Right, so that's me, this little dude here. That's Boy Wonder. We don't like him, so we can shoot him with our catapult. We can try. Okay, maybe we won't. Right, we can shoot. No, the Commodore 64 just had the one button joystick, but we need to be able to sit down, punch, jump, and write with this. So once this guy shuts up, oh, now I've got to acknowledge that I understand. 1 second. So because I've got these extra buttons here, I can get told off for throwing a punch at the air by the teacher. I can do nothing there. Oh, that doesn't do anything. Oh, there we go. That sits down. That throws punches. That one does nothing. So those two are used. That one's just a fire button. That one's just a fire button. That one's just a fire button. Oh, that one makes you jump around like a loon. Alright, now the Speedlink joystick, because it doesn't have all of the buttons that you get on the Commodore 64 one, there's certain things you can't do. Let me just get out of the way here a little bit. So we've got shoot, that's shoot, that's six. Because this brings up the menu, we can shoot and we can sit and get towed off, but we can't jump and we can't punch with this joystick. So with this Speedlink, you will have problems with some games if you need the other buttons. Although you can probably plug a keyboard in and use a keyboard instead. But just if you just want to use a joystick, that is this one does lack a little bit of functionality. Alright, so here we have the Spectrum, and we can try the joystick with the Spectrum. Alright, the Spectrum, the joystick. At the moment it's not showing that it recognises the joystick, so I haven't pushed any buttons or anything, but if I move it, right, you see, this is what the 64 Mini doesn't do. It doesn't detect the type of joystick that it thinks it is. Now on this one it doesn't matter, because this one is the one that came with the Commodore 64, the 64. But as far as this is concerned, it's now acting like an Xbox controller. There we go, the not Clicky Competition Pro. Menu, back. So we can go up the help, down to save games. And can we use these for anything then? So this one, that lets us pick our favourites. And this one, that sorts. So that is similar to the 64. But see, no clicks, no clicky, 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 clicky. This was a good test for my last video. Right. This was mega clicky on the Speedlink, but you barely even know you're playing it on this. Right, here we are then. Here's the Speedlink version. Right, so can we exit with this though? I don't think we can actually. No, this one, the Speedlink, doesn't have a menu button or a home button even. It doesn't have a home button. So we have to use the one on here. So it's between the two, they both have their advantages. This one is a decent second joystick to use for certain games. It doesn't have all the buttons that you might need to navigate the menus, but it feels a bit more solid, a bit better made, a bit more precise. I think if you played track and field with this, you would annoy the hell out of anyone in the postcode, but the joystick wouldn't snap. I think the other one, this doesn't feel like it would take a lot of abuse to me. I mean, it's nice and quiet. It's nice and quiet, but I would say this would live longer. You might not live longer using this, because your flatmates, your parents, your partners, your wives, your friends might kill you because of that. But that joystick, I don't think it would last as long as this one. It'll mostly do the same job, mostly. Right, here's the A500 Mini with fully loaded USB ports, and here is the joystick, and there's the mouse. The joystick, the mouse, but we just want the joystick at this exact moment. So let's turn it on. Right, that's good. It definitely lets me do something. Oh, up, down, does that. So I'm assuming this is going to work exactly the same as the Spectrum. It's probably basically the same operating system to a degree. So I'm guessing this button does nothing. And it does. So this button should be menu. It is menu. So that will act as back for this. Or will that be back? That's back. So menu, back. So on the A500 Mini, that's your menu button. And that's your back button. That one there. Menu, back. So these two here will presumably, yep, that's our favourites. Exactly the same as the Spectrum. And this one here, changed it by title. So this, I mean, they're made by the same people, so I guess it's designed to work together. Although it seems to work better on the Spectrum and the Amiga than it does actually on the Commodore 64 that it came with. Let's try Paradroid. And here we go, Paradroid in HD. This is one game I really don't know why they haven't remade it. Just as like a phone game or a, I don't know. They could even make this into a handheld, to be honest. It's that good and that simple. Oh, that looks like a nightmare on that side. Let's try this side. Right, how easy can we find these? This is always a bit tricky with a gamepad because you've got to be quite precise. I think I'm getting my backside kicked here. Oh. Oh. I made it. I managed to transfer to the lowliest of lowly robots without dying. Oh. Uh-oh, the 476 is going to kill me. Let's bravely run away. Right. So we will try the same thing, I think. Let's exit the game. Nope, yes. Right, we'll try the same thing, but with the Clicky Speedlink and see how useful that is on the 500. Right, so here we are. Mr. Clicky. So Mr. Clicky goes through the menus just fine. Just like it did on the Spectrum and the C64. Fortunately on this one, the A500, there's not as many games to click through. So, right, where are we? Paradroid. Right, and this is the difference. quite clicky. I suppose you're not having to do as fast the movements, so it's not quite so annoying. But this is where it's going to be a pain. Oh no, I managed to do it. Whoa. You've got to be really precise on this one. Uh-oh. I'm going to get my backside kicked. And I lost to a 302. Given the fact that most Amiga games did only really use one button, if you don't need the keys, then you're probably okay. Although I'm not too sure how you bring up the virtual keyboard with this one. There is that, because you haven't got a menu button or a select button, you can't bring up the virtual keyboard. Let me just try and see if you can bring up the virtual keyboard with the 64 joystick. Right, we're back on the 64 joystick, and you can do something with this that you can't do with the Speedlink, which is bring up the virtual keyboard. So we've got this keyboard at the side, which you can't do with the Speedlink because it doesn't have the menu button. So yeah, the 64 joystick, the joystick, does work okay with the Amiga. You can use the home button, you can use the menu button, you can bring up the virtual keyboard. So if you want a joystick that's not really clicky, but does feel quite fragile, this one will work with it. Right, so I think we've established that you can use either joystick for pretty much everything. If you want to have a long lead away from the TV, you're probably better off with this one. If you want something that's not going to fall apart, you'll probably want this one. That one may last, it just doesn't feel like it will. But they'll both do the job. So it's down to personal preference, really. So with either of these joysticks, you could, for example, on your Amiga, A500 Mini at least, with your A500 stick, Commodore 64 stick, you could play a bit of Quake. Or you can play Sonic on your Commodore 64. Or you can play GTA on your Spectrum and run people over. Either way, it doesn't matter which joystick you use, they all seem to work. They both seem to work just fine. There's just a few functions that the Speedlink doesn't have. But it's down to personal preference at the end of the day. Either will do the job. I just think the Speedlink one will last longer. You can't buy the 64 Mini new anymore, I don't believe, but I managed to pick mine up for, I believe it was $41.98 That's just the odd amounts you now get on eBay because of this whole buyer protection rubbish. And I believe you can get the Competition Pro Extra for around 25 quid. Seems a little bit pricey for what it is, but it is a bit of a niche product, I suppose. But if you get one of these for about that amount of money, which I'd say is about average now, you would get a joystick and you get the Commodore 64, the C64. So it's up to you, but they will both do the same job. Now, one thing I would say about this Commodore 64 Mini, C64 Mini, whether you're using this one or the Speedlink, you're probably going to want to get something like this, because the lineup of games on the Mini isn't that great. It's really not. I think you get bored of those pretty quickly, so you're going to need to transform it somehow. And I've got the perfect thing to transform mine. It is obviously a memory stick. Originally had the second Transformers film on. It's the slowest memory stick in the world. However, this takes really small files. So I can plug this in, upside down of course. Plug that in there. And then we can turn it on. And now using the joystick, we can do what you probably wanted to do on your Commodore 64 back in the day. And that's play Super Mario. And there it is. That's your Commodore 64 Mini playing Super Mario Brothers.